Hello, you're welcome to the Ugandan podcast. My name is Brandy Valentine Communications Officer, Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. And today we have a very amazing guest. But before we get into that, I want to let you know that the Ugandan podcast is about government projects, programs, and policies. And please don't worry, there are no hard things here because you are chilling with the big boys, actually. So I take this opportunity to introduce our guest today, Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Brandy, and I greet all those listeners, viewers that are following this podcast discussion.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I want people to know who you are, but I feel like you're a big celebrity already.
Well, I don't know, as you have introduced me, I am Dr. Chris Baryomunsi.
Yes.
A very humble boy from Kanungu.
Yes.
And currently the Minister of Information, Communications Technology, and National Guidance, and a Member of Parliament for Chinchizi East Constituency in Kanungu, Chigezi sub-region, a constituency which I have represented since 2006.
Yes.
So you can as well call me a veteran MP.
Absolutely.
And professionally, I am a medical doctor specializing in demography and public health. And I want to thank you for inviting me to this discussion.
Thank you very much for joining us to this discussion. Please note that it is a great joy to be both an artist and a scientist, because I know you were a state minister for health for general duties.
Yes, my first appointment as a minister, I was a minister of state for health, general duties, and then later I became minister of state for housing.
Yes.
The Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, and now I am minister for ICT and National Guidance.
Yes.
I can't tell you what next.
The Lord plans and we do.
Absolutely.
And the rest, please feel free to find on Google. Yes. But right now, let's get into our discussion today. That is just about communication. How do we communicate the things we do? And you're welcome, Honorable.
Thank you.
Question number 1. You have done many things. If someone met you around the globe, like probably in Maldives or in Dubai on holiday for 24 hours, who would you say you are to them eventually?
Well, I would say I am a trained medical doctor specializing in public health, serving as a member of parliament and currently as a minister for ICT and National Guidance, which responsibility makes me the government spokesperson and a simple, good-loving and God-fearing person.
Yes.
That's how I would summarize who and what I am.
Yeah, simple, loving and God-fearing.
Yes.
Along the very many things you do
absolutely
for this amazing country. That's good. Yeah. Secondly, what does the Ministry of ICT mean to Uganda?
Well, ICT is actually a very huge ministry, even by nature of the words, because in full, it is the Ministry of Information, Communications Technology, and National Guidance. And if you unpack this name, it has very many elements. For instance, information is to do with communication, giving out information, especially on behalf of government, informing the public on what the government does, all these programs and interventions carried out by government, the policies, the laws, communicating them to the public for the public to appreciate what the government actually does.
Yes.
Is what constitutes the information component.
Yes.
And definitely related to that, the public relations and image building for government, all of those are encompassed in the information docket. Then communications technology, as the name sounds, is to do with the advancements in the IT or information and communication technology.
Absolutely.
Well knowing that technology is what is driving the transformation agenda in the world. And the communication technology ranges from areas like broadcasting, areas like telecommunications. Now the digital space is expanding and the digitization agenda, all that is encompassed in the communication technology. In other words, countries, including Uganda, are embracing technology, and technology being the facilitator of development.
Yes.
And the ministry, therefore, means it has to drive and facilitate that transformation agenda using communications technology.
Absolutely.
When you look at these, say, private players, the telecom industry, like here, MTN,
Airtel,
Lycan, and many others. You look at the broadcasting industry, the electronic media, the radios, the television, even the social media space.
Yes.
All these areas are part of what we call the communications technology. And then the national guidance is to do with the ideological orientation of the population.
Absolutely.
Instilling a spirit of patriotism for Ugandans to know what makes them Ugandan, for them to love their country, and to be properly ideologically oriented so that you can achieve some level of ideological purity in terms of the Ugandans.
Yes.
So that national guidance is meant to rally Ugandans to have that spirit of believing and behaving and acknowledging that they are Ugandans, and therefore there is something which distinguishes you and I as Ugandans compared to other nationalities and so forth.
Yes.
You can see the ministry has a very broad mandate.
True.
Broad mandate. And as a political head, I am expected to spearhead this mandate so that the ministry can deliver.
Yes. And I believe you're doing very well.
Absolutely. I'm trying my level best.
We appreciate it, sir.
Yes.
Where is the fun between being a doctor and a government communicator? In between, where if you had to score like 1 to 10 and 1 to 10.
That's a question many people ask. Even when I was appointed minister for ICT and National Guidance to become official spokesperson, people say, but there's a Ministry of Health. Why are you not in the Ministry of Health where your skills and competences probably fall and as a medical doctor? But there is no problem. First of all, as a minister, you are a political supervisor or head of a ministry.
Yeah.
You are not a technocrat.
Yes.
In the sense that even when you are minister of health, you don't go to theater to operate patients. But you superintend over the ministry to ensure that the policies and programs can be implemented. So similarly, to be a head of Ministry for ICT and National Guidance is still okay even for a non-journalist or a non-IT specialist, even for a medical doctor like myself. Because when you train as a medical doctor, you qualify in a range of areas. Medicine is not only about operating a patient or prescribing drugs.
Yes.
But you study sociology, you study psychology, you study many other things. Because even to be a successful medical doctor, you must know how to communicate.
Yes.
Because the practice of medicine involves a doctor or a health worker communicating effectively to a patient or a client. So
yes, and
there are skills
as well.
Communication skills also which you acquire through learning medicine.
Yes.
Therefore, there is no contradiction for a medical doctor to be in charge of communication, to speak for government, and I think I'm doing my best to discharge that function, and I like it. And sometimes also communication can be a passion. And I think I am passionate about communication, and I feel very comfortable being in this position where I communicate for government. Okay,
that's nice. So that means you actually enjoy being the doctor and the government communicator.
Absolutely.
You're the whole package.
Doctors are amphibians. They can live both in water and on land. So I can survive in a theater, in a hospital environment where I do medicine. Yes. I can also survive in the other areas like communication, and I am not complaining.
Okay. Yes. I'm glad you're always happy, so I know you're not complaining for sure.
Yes.
How do you intend to make the fourth industrial revolution, relevant to the people in rural areas?
Yes. Now, there have been 3 industrial revolutions,
True.
the history of mankind and development.
Mm.
And Africa, Uganda inclusive, have missed on these revolutions.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate. And that explains why Africa lags behind. Now, we are in the era of the 4th industrial revolution, where technology is anything, where we are transiting from manual space, but to technologies like what we call robotics, like blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, supercomputing,
yes,
the Internet of Things,
yes,
and many nanotechnology and many other things. And we wouldn't want to miss out on this train of the 4th industrial revolution. Like you know, the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance earlier appointed a committee of technocrats
yes,
to guide the government on how we can be part and parcel of this industrial revolution. And they have given us a lot of technical guidance and technical information, which we are integrating into the day-to-day work of government.
yes.
And I am very hopeful that this time around, Uganda and I hope the rest of Africa are going to move together with the rest of the world in this industrial revolution.
Yes.
For instance, you see the kind of systems which we are establishing, even within the government. You know, we have a department of e-government. We are connecting government offices. We are moving away from manual systems to automated and e-related services. And the major intention or purpose of establishing this Ministry of ICT is to fast track and accelerate all those efforts to see that in the shortest period possible, everything is electronic and we partake of this digital space. We create digital literacy across Ugandans so that technology becomes the driving force through all these development processes. So, and I think we are on the right track. You can notice that we put in place an agency like NITAU, National Information Technology Authority, which is helping and guiding a lot in the development of applications and systems. In the past, we used to buy most of these applications from outside.
True.
But now we have fairly good capacity in the country to develop most of these applications which provide solutions to most of the existing challenges. And I am sure you noticed that in the last 2 or 3 years, we have even 10 years, most of our universities are teaching IT-related courses.
Yes.
We have very many graduates of information technology and computer science. And these many graduates are actually making a very big contribution. For instance, we have an innovation fund within this Ministry of ICT, where our young people who come out of universities and colleges with skills are enabled, are supported with resources to develop these applications. And within the entire government system, even the private sector, most of these applications are being used to provide solutions to the day-to-day challenges. And going forward, we are going to put more resources into this.
Yes.
We are now also going to strengthen the business process outsourcing elements.
BPO,
BPOs,
yes.
Where, for instance, our graduates are going to be supported to get e-employment, where they can get employed by outside firms without necessarily physically visiting those firms, and they are able to do work here and also engage the different organizations not to outsource from outside Uganda, but use the local capacity. So I think we are in the right direction, and going forward in the next 4, 5, 10 years, we should be able to have a digitally competent and a digitally literate population in Uganda where IT is in the thing.
Yes, that's true. And I like that as a country we are choosing to choose digital transformation
Yes.
to be one of the things that we're following in the National Development Plan 3. So we're moving well.
Absolutely, because the digital transformation is one of our priority areas.
Absolutely.
As we make advancement in the country.
Okay. What are your hobbies?
My hobbies as a person.
As a person.
One, reading.
Yeah.
I do a lot of reading.
That's good.
I watch television, including external channels, particularly to know what is going on around the globe. And also appearing on television and the media houses themselves, so that they can explain and talk to the people.
And educate the masses.
Educate the masses.
Yes.
Educate the masses.
Yes.
And I used to play football, but now I have no time and maybe I've outgrown.
And now that you actually hit that point, what team were you supporting in those days?
No, me, I tend to support the local teams in Uganda.
Yes.
I am not very much a fan of those external teams.
Yes. Those teams break people's hearts from time to
Express FC.
Express FC
was my team.
That's cool. Yes. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But I also used to play in the parliamentary football team here. Yeah, yes.
That's good.
Very dangerous person.
You playing number one? What number? Midfield, striker?
Midfield.
Hey, that's...
Maybe I should re-energize myself and get back.
we set up a match between Ministry of ICT and we get like another ministry and you show them what you're made of.
Absolutely.
I agree. We will come and cheer. Yeah. So for an institution made for information, a lot of efforts have been put and we're moving in particular directions. But what can we do to boost the visibility of the Ministry of ICT and the journey that we are moving forward to?
First of all, Uganda has done very well in expanding the media space.
Yes.
Under the NRM government, we have expanded in terms of quantity, the number of radio stations, the number of TV stations, the print media, the freedom of social media. If you compare with the 30, 40 years back and today, the media space has expanded.
Sure.
But we still have a challenge of getting out the government message to reach the population. And our liberal attitude and the freedom of the press, freedom of the media has also come up with challenges which sometimes border on abuse of this freedom and space.
Sure.
And therefore, as a government spokesperson, one, we need to strengthen that element of the spokesmanship of government.
Yeah.
By ensuring that the many good things, the activities, the interventions, the programs government is doing or carrying out every day, that message must reach the population, especially in the countryside. And to that effect, we are coming up with a communication policy and strategy. We are also engaging the broader government workers, from political leaders like ministers, members of parliament, the resident district commissioners, the councillors, district chairpersons, to speak for what the government is doing at their different levels. We would want the media houses to be dominated by the government voice for people to know what the government is doing, which at the moment, we haven't reached the level where I would want it to be as a minister responsible for communication and information in this government. And we are going to make sure that we achieve that. So we need to publicize the work of the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, but most importantly, we have to publicize the work of government. The different ministries, departments, and agencies of government, they do a lot of work. You as a government worker, you wake up very early by 8 a.m. you are in the office up to late, even now it's late. You are
Yeah.
doing work.
Yeah.
But most often the work is just known by people around you. You find my sisters and brothers deep in Kanungu. People don't appreciate what the government is doing. So we are working on that to see that what the government does in the various ministries and departments can be disseminated, can be communicated for the ordinary people to appreciate that the government is working. Because as you know, every other year we increase the budget, the government budget.
Yes.
Into trillions of shillings, which trillions translate into activities, programs, and interventions.
True.
Aimed at liberating the common person.
Yeah.
So we, as a ministry which communicates for government, we are putting in place systems and arrangements to see that whatever is being done by government is relayed to the people by different actors within government. And we have different platforms which we are going to use to make sure that one is achieved. But definitely, the work done by the ministry itself must also be communicated, must be disseminated for the wider public to appreciate the importance and the reason why this ministry exists.
Absolutely. I agree. And I like that we have really expanded on many things, including online sites, including, we are here recording a podcast.
Yes.
Like, life is good, but we need to make it better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now that you've actually talked about the budget and you've brought me to my next question.
Yes.
ICT contributes highly to the economy through like taxes from MTN and other places that but little comes in terms of sector budget allocation. What do you intend to do to improve the resources in the ICT sector as our dear cabinet minister?
Yes, your question is right. You see, the government has been implementing what we call a flagship budget or flagship budgeting, where government supports the different sectors, but it gives priority to few flagship ministries or sectors.
Yes.
Like if you notice, over the number of years, most of the resources have been allocated to works and transport because of the program to tarmac many roads, energy, where electricity extension has been a priority, and maybe security and defense,
and
then
health.
plus health education. Those have been like the key programs that take the biggest proportion of the budget.
Yes.
And sectors like ICT, National Guidance, you find you are below 1% of the national budget.
Yes.
But increasingly, we are now making a point to the government that for some of the flagship areas, we've more or less achieved the target. For instance, the country is connected from corner to corner with tarmac roads. Electricity has been extended to all districts now, to sub-counties and so forth.
Yes.
So there's a need now to gradually shift the prioritization. Not that you leave roads and the energy and the health, but also to bring on board other priority programs.
Yes.
We're knowing that technology is what is facilitating the development agenda. And we are now making a case for ICT and national guidance to be considered by government as one of the key areas where the budgetary support has to be revised upwards. And I can assure you that even the budget which we are constructing now for the next financial year, we have had engagements with the president of the country, and he has agreed that more resources should be allocated to the ICT sector. So it is true that the ICT sector has not received sufficient funding, but I think there is now better appreciation in the government of the need to put more resources, because if you invest money in the ICT sector, you actually get much more money. Much more money. And I think we have made that point to government that let's put more money in ICT because it will give you more money. So it's an area which we are working on to be appreciated as a priority area. And I think going forward, we should be able to see an increment, a substantial and significant improvement in terms of the budgetary allocation to ICT.
Okay. I am actually excited. That sounds like very good news.
So you as a person working in this ministry, your future is very bright.
My future is bright. Now that there's more budget, we can be able to do more things, translate different things into different languages so that they're accessible for other people as well. So it's
because we need to expand the digital space, like I have said, like the issue of internet. When we were challenged by this scourge of COVID-19, there was a better appreciation and realization of the need for internet across the country. Because when the learners, the students went home, there was a need for online learning, for us not to disrupt the learning process. But because in the countryside, internet is not easily available and affordable, it became a challenge. So now everybody appreciates that we should, for instance, lay the internet cable, we address connectivity, the broadband, so that from all corners of the country, you can do e-learning, you can do e-business, you can do e-services the way we do in Kampala here. So I think COVID has also helped us to mobilize policymakers to realize that the IT and ICT is a key area for us to transform. And we shall have a better budget in the coming years.
Yeah, I am excited to... People, we shall bring it back here on the podcast and tell you the budget is up.
Yes.
And it's time for us to innovate and do better. The radio spectrum coverage in some areas is... the signal reception is either a no-go or it's just low. So how do we intend to get the citizens in these parts of the country to access information?
Yes, first of all, true, we have expanded the number of radio stations.
Yes.
The different corners of the country. But because of the topography, some areas, you find some parts, shadows. You find radio signals can be picked in one part and you don't get them on the other side.
Yeah.
The same with even telecommunications technology, like for these mobile phones, you find some places, depending on the location of the masts and the towers, they are in the shadow area. But we have the private sector, which is being supported to mount masts in different parts of the country to improve on that communication aspect.
Yes.
But also through the Uganda Communications Commission, we have resources that support construction of masts and towers in areas which are not attractive to the private sector. We have designed a program also, which is going to be supported through the World Bank and the China Exim Bank to expand the IT infrastructure, the national backbone infrastructure, and part of the component will be to erect masts in different parts of the country, especially the underserved areas. So that is being addressed. But also, through the Uganda Communications Commission, they have mapped out the country to see areas which still have opportunity for spectrum where additional radio stations can be established. And they have since advertised and people are applying. So that where there is a vacuum, there is an opportunity to put an FM radio and then the people can also get the signal and get the communication. So our intention is to see that no one is left behind.
Yes.
People who live in this country, irrespective of the geography and the topography, you should be able to access these facilities, including radio and television signals. Yes. So that is being addressed, and Ugandans should remain comforted that where there is still a vacuum, that vacuum will be addressed.
Will be filled, yeah.
Will be filled, yes.
We are comfortable. We are comforted, and we are waiting. But we have the radio spectrum has really grown, so it's also a bonus, really. Now, this question is very hard because
That's a hard question to a simple person. So.
yeah. Okay, so I'll bring it slowly.
Yes.
So growing up, there was this telecommunication network that would advertise and say, Uganda Telecom, it's all about you. Then they would put like a smiling emoji.
Yes.
What happened? And how can we bring it to fire again?
UTL, Uganda Telecommunications. Yes, UTL still exists.
Yes.
And actually, the government communication still uses UTL.
Yes.
Like these landlines in offices.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But UTL is like a patient who is on steroids and needs resuscitation.
Yes.
For that patient to regain the health, the good health like other health individuals.
Absolutely.
Because that is under receivership currently, and the government has been thinking strongly on how to revive and reactivate UTL.
Yes.
To this end, the thinking of the ministry and the government, because there have been different thoughts. There are those who were pushing that we sell it off and privatize it. But there is also a dominant voice, which I agree with, that we should keep it as a government entity, a government facility. What we need now is to capitalize UTL and enable it to work and compete. If at all I can use the word compete, favorably alongside MTN, Airtel, as a government entity. Yes. Yeah. So right now we are mobilizing resources which could be entirely from the government coffers, or we can get a partner with the minority shares in the company so that the government keeps the controlling interest in UTL.
Yeah.
And then we get it back to its feet so it is up and running. Because UTL has lots of assets in terms of masts, in terms of telecom infrastructure. So we just need to put in more resources to modernize it, and then UTL will be the strongest network in the country. And
amen.
We are working on that one. So we are working on that smile of
it's all about you.
All about you. Has not yet died.
It's not upside down.
No. It's going to come back in a bigger way.
Yes.
In a bigger way. So we are in the kitchen cooking, and we shall definitely come with the UTL re-energized.
As a 4-course meal.
Yeah, absolutely. Even a 5-course meal.
5-course with the internet, SMSing and everything.
Yeah, so work is ongoing to revitalize UTL. Okay. And I thank the members of staff who have kept UTL going.
Yeah.
But we are now going to inject it with a growth hormone. Because it had got some growth retardation.
Yeah.
We're now going to inject it with a growth hormone so that it can grow up quickly and even move faster than the existing telecom actors.
That sounds like some Olympic match I watched sometime in last season where people are already ahead and you're like, give me a minute. Then you come and you just
overtake them.
Yes. So there was this question that I gave a random group of people after a survey. They say, I asked what questions should I ask the minister?
Yes.
And then they say, we want to know the answer to this one. What can one do to get to where you are?
Well, first of all, where am I?
You are.
Let me first describe where I am.
Yes.
Then what to do. Like I said, I am a medical doctor who trained from a rural hard to reach primary school called Kayungwe Primary School, where we used to walk on foot about 5 kilometers to school and 5 kilometers back. I went to secondary in a seminary in Kawale,
St. Paul's
Seminary. On some occasions, out of lack of school fees, I would walk over 60 kilometers.
60 kilometers?
60, yes.
Oh.
And later on went to Makerere, graduated as a doctor, then did the postgraduate training. I also hold the PhD in public health. I have taught at the University of Makerere, worked in the UN, went to Parliament. I'm now a government minister. So you're asking, what does one do to reach there? So I wanted first to explain where that is there. What is that there?
Yes.
One is commitment. You must be committed in whatever you are doing. Whatever task you are given, you should committedly do that responsibility and give it your best.
Yeah.
And you must have determination. Know in life what you want to be.
Yes.
What you want to be. And what are your goals and objectives. For instance, I made a decision, not a decision, but a desire to become a medical doctor when I was in primary 5. Yeah. I fell sick, suffered from malaria, was taken to hospital. The doctors were putting on very sharp and clean white clinical coats.
Yes.
So I desired to be like one of them.
Yes.
In primary 5. And then I said, what do I do? What is required of me to become a doctor? Yeah. I did the primary 7, passed, then went for seminary. Don't ask me, but seminary was training to be a police. But now I knew it required to do sciences. Yeah. It required to do physics, chemistry, biology at the A level. So like I had a goal, something I was working for. So being determined, being committed, and knowing what you want in life. But also trusting in God. Yeah. In the God. And God can always answer your prayers. And when you ask him, he answers. Yeah. Like it's recorded in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7. Ask, it shall be given. Yes. So when you pray and ask God, he will answer your prayers. Yes. So that's some of the pieces of advice I can give. But again, also being disciplined in life. If you're a student, remain disciplined as a student. Do what you are supposed to do. And if you're a minister, remain disciplined and carry out the work of a minister. Yes. And me, wherever I am assigned any responsibility, I do it with passion. And I give it my time. And I try my level best to do it very well so that I excel. I excel. At times people think you are over enthusiastic, but you are trying to do your work. Yeah. Trying to do it very well with commitment. And I'm sure that way, if you have your goals, your objectives, you know what you want, you will always achieve it. You always reach there.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much. You actually talked about passion, and you reminded me, yesterday we had a meeting with the permanent secretary, and she was telling us, you can't just do work the way you have to put your passion in that Absolutely. Way, you own it, and then you give it your best.
Thank you. Like I do my work as if I'm going to die tomorrow. So that you give it your best, so that when you die, they say, oh, he was a hardworking and he was successful.
He was successful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Honorable Dr. Baryomunsi. For the PhD, then for the medical, so it's Honorable Dr. But what is the needs assessment? What does the needs assessment of the ICT sector look like?
Well, in terms of this ministry, it was established in 2006 as a ministry for ICT. Then later on, it was merged with the Information and National Guidance. I think we've made a lot of strides as a ministry, as a government, as a country, but the more needs to be done. If you talk of needs assessment, yes, universities, for instance, and colleges have been training IT personnel, because many courses in IT and computer science have been established in universities. But I think we need to train even more IT specialists.
Yes.
And review the public service structure and provide for IT personnel at different levels, especially in the decentralized system of government, at the district, at the sub-county level and lower levels, so that we can address this penetration of IT services at that level. So you'll find the IT specialists and personnel are probably largely in the central government agencies, but there's less capacity in the decentralized system.
Yeah.
So there is a need there. Number two, there is also need to do capacity building and address digital literacy in the population.
That is true.
And start probably with the organized communities, like the school system. Because when I went to school, everything was manual. I saw a computer later in adult life.
Yeah.
But now the era in which we are is different. Why shouldn't children who go into primary school, secondary school, even university, have a laptop or an iPad or an IT device which they can use to do learning? So that you don't have to interface with the computer when you're at university. So the system of learning and teaching should change to incorporate technology and other things we have to look at. Then also accelerating this revolution of IT. I think we are moving fast, but we need to move faster.
At Cheptenge speed.
Speed, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because much as I earlier said, yes, we are addressing e-government and addressing connectivity within the government ministries, but you'll find the ministries have maybe 2 or 3 IT officers. But we have said technology is the facilitator of this transformation.
Yeah.
So we needed to see acceleration in terms of pushing this technological advancement. But I think so far we are moving, but we could move faster.
That sounds like a call to action for sure. We need, yeah, that's so true.
Yes.
Okay. As a cabinet minister of national guidance, please guide us accordingly on the availability of the MyUG, the free government internet Wi-Fi, and also the plans. Are there plans to roll it out into suburbs outside the central business district?
Yes, like I have said, expanding the digital space is one of our priority areas. But also once this space is expanded, communicating it to the outside. For instance, we have hotspots.
Yes.
Where you can access free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
In the Greater Kampala.
Yeah.
But the population doesn't know where these hotspots are.
Yeah, where they are. If I knew.
And like I said earlier on, we are going to extend the national backbone infrastructure and do the last mile connections so that the whole country is actually connected.
Yeah.
And we are going to create more hotspots in the cities and urban areas in the countryside.
Yes.
So that people can access free Wi-Fi in these areas. And we shall move into this, but also communicate it to the public so that people know where they can get this free Wi-Fi. So that one, to me, remains a priority.
Yeah.
because now the systems of government increasingly are going to depend on the IT infrastructure, the IT system. For instance, now payments in the government are electronically managed.
The IFMS,
the
yes.
procurement system
EPG
is now electronic.
Yes.
And many more things now are going to be electronic.
Even the passports,
and so forth. So this calls for urgent action to ensure that there is connectivity in all parts of the country. So, and once we achieve that, we should be able to make a very good progress.
Yes,
I agree. In terms of addressing all those.
I agree. Okay. One, we have two more. But before, where do you see the ICT sector in the next 5 years?
Yes,
as the visionary.
Yes. Given the programs which we have lined up.
Yes.
Like addressing connectivity in the countryside, supporting our younger innovators and IT experts to come up with innovations and applications to provide digital solutions to contemporary challenges. I see in the next 5 years, Uganda to have moved a very big step in terms of appreciation of the digitalization agenda. I see many of the processes being driven by the digital platforms and digital kind of applications. I see the countryside, like in West Nile, in Karamoja, in Chigezi, in Bukedi, in Buko, people appreciating the use of technology in very many areas.
Yeah.
Where somebody can just be seated in the village in Buko, and if a woman earns her money from selling potatoes, sweet potatoes, she can bank that money using a mobile phone.
Yes, yes.
It is possible today, but maybe it hasn't penetrated in the rural areas. So I see an old woman with a phone in Buko banking her money, which has got from selling Irish potatoes, and she banks the money on her account, or even withdraw the money and gets it while sitting in her house.
In her house, yeah.
I see us in 5 years going forward, reaching that level. So there is a digital literacy in the bigger section of Uganda. So I think the future outlook is good in terms of IT, and with more support to the IT sector by government, and also our policy environment, which allows in the private players coming in, we should be able to make a quantum leap within a short period of 5 years going forward. So I am very optimistic that the ICT sector is going to grow very fast.
Yes.
In the next 5 years.
Yes, with all the system integration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your positivity and enthusiasm is actually contagious. So I'm also on that ship with you. We hope to make progress. Lastly, so very soon this podcast will be like just below Oprah's podcast. So you'll have so many people who are actually listening to you, and I would want to know, do you have any advice for the people listening to you on the Ugandan podcast?
Yes, first of all, I thank the listeners and viewers and all those following this podcast. That the future of this country, Uganda, is very bright.
Yeah.
We have made a lot of progress as a country in the last many years.
Yeah.
And we just need to remain healthy and alive to enjoy the future prospects.
Yeah.
We are embracing technology, and there are many programs which we have lined up as a government to see that the penetration of technology is improved in the countryside, in the schools, in many other environments, so that we can have rapid and accelerated transformation in this country. Definitely the quality of life of Ugandans continues to improve. And once we invest in the technological advances, then the quality will even improve much faster than it has been in the past. And therefore, we should remain optimistic. We should remain positive. Let us support the efforts of government of Uganda so that we can see a brighter future. In any case, the NRM government's commitment is securing your future.
Yes, please. Yeah, thank you. And also, are you vaccinated?
Oh, yes. We have a challenge of COVID-19, which we have suffered in the last 2 years or so. And our message is that we must remain committed fighting this challenge of COVID-19. Uganda has done very well with the various measures which we have instituted. As we speak today, the infection rates are high, have become high again, courtesy of the Omicron variant, which thankfully is less pathogenic compared to the Delta variant, which hit the country in the months of May, June, July, causing a deadly second wave. This Omicron variant is highly transmissible, but less virulent. However, if it finds you unvaccinated, it can actually kill you. So the message that we give the people out there is that, one, we should embrace vaccination. We have different types of vaccines ranging from AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Sinovac, and all of them are equally efficient and also safe. So take these vaccines. Right now, we are even recommending booster doses. If you have completed the dose for, say, the 2 injection vaccine, you can get a third one. Or Johnson & Johnson, where you get 1 dose, you can get a second one, especially if you're above 50 years or if you have another existing
underlying conditions. That's what they've been calling them.
Like high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, HIV. We also recommend that you get a booster dose. So vaccination is very important. Vaccines protect you against disease, hospitalization, and death, to the extent that even if you get infected, the infection will remain asymptomatic and mild. It will not put you down. But we are also saying vaccinate, but alongside observe the other public health preventive measures, like wearing a mask correctly and consistently when you are in public, washing your hands with soap and water or use a sanitizer, and avoid touching your face, using clean hands. Avoid congregating in big numbers. If you congregate, please observe social and physical distancing.
Absolutely.
So all those measures go alongside vaccination. It is not vaccination versus
SOP.
It is vaccination in addition to. So let's continue to work together to fight COVID-19. And I'm sure if we remain committed and work together, we shall be able to overcome this challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic.
You see the joy of having, this is an absolute joy when you have someone communicating to you and yet he's also a doctor. So you know it's not a lie. It's absolutely not a lie. So please get vaccinated. And Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we have come to the end of this interview.
We shall be back for another topic. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us. Feel free to reach us on our different social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram. Whenever we're going to share your handles down there because you're a very, very important person. As you can see, I see your picture in the collage over there.
Okay.
And next we're going to have a poem from Mitch Isabire, and it will be in Uganda. It's a very nice poem. It welcomes you to Uganda. Please just enjoy it now. I've been your host, Brandy. Feel free to reach us on all our platforms and keep it hooked and locked right here on the Ugandan podcast for God and my country. Bye.
Uganda ekula, Uganda amakula. Leku bunyonyola amazzi agatukula, itanda bujagaali amazzi ageefukula. Enkobe, entulege, enjovu n'enkula. Akilonyo ebyayibo mujeebale buli muntu mbuuza n'ayanukula. Tulya tutudde empisa baatugaana okuswankula. Bantu bakakkamu, entalo towakula. Kakebe, omweso, okwepena n'ekinyakula. Eggobeera pena ebinyeebwa babisekula. Boda tu boda malaba n'emutukula. Nsonda ku nsonda kisolo paka soloti ewa Mike Mukula. Akawowo ng'oyita mu mabira weetuukire tolinda muntu kukutabbira. Bw'otuuka olowooza Katonda emikisa wagigabira. Ebizibu by'ekibuga ebisinga obyerabira kuba mu birowoozo onnyikira, obbikira. Atanayitayita atenda nnyina okufumba. Eno ewaffe abakyala b'embuto balya ne ku bbumba. Nga tonnalya ku nkoko ye n'amawojjolo najjembe bakuwanire eyeerukaya. Buli omu ayitawo abeera yeegaaya. Nyama ya mbuzi ku nkoggo nga tonnalya ku mwogo we Kamudini bamusinzanga ddiini. Agamba Uganda ekyayavula. Tonnatuuka ku ntiko ya muhavula. Endingidi, akoggo, engalabi yalabbi amadinda gwe linda. Biwaanira bwerere bwe mbasogedde ku mulere. Abayimbi amaloboozi bakira ennyonza. Tondeetera Beyonce nga nina kanyoomoozi. One Direction biweerwa Frigo Band bwetandika okkuba kubeera kuyisa mukka mu kisero. Sisobola kuva ku ggwanga lyange ne bompa feeza. Ne bonteera obuwumbi butaano ku mmeeza nze bwe mpulira akadodi toleeta mejaleeza. Emboona, enkooge, jambula Uganda yabala ebibala. Entuntunu, bulya ku mizabbibu toyoya kebaabu. Essaanu, eshabwe abamayonezi bali ku byabwe. Mutuule mbabuulire. Entulire, ajjono amalwa mwenge bigere. Omaliza towuliza bigere. Jameson Johnny Walker mukyali ku muzannyo. Kaseese kitoko ziri mandwa zikuba kibooko. Bwakata yakusakata, ow'enviri owulira kiwalaata. Chapati 2 maji 2 nyaanya mbisi ebisigadde bisiikiremu. Uganda walagi ku kikalaayi. Tosigala kyekimu agawalaayi. Owino ne shopping mall kuva ku kigaji ne parasetamu. Ggwanga lya ssanyu twafuuka basizi tubeera mu kulya bulamu. Abakyala aba buli kika bonna babalagavu. Abaddugavu n'ab'ebisambi ebimyufu. Abalina entumbu ezaasiba n'abalina mugaba tukyebaliza lugaba. Abawanvu n'abampi, abatono n'abanene, Mukama y'agaba. Maama lususu ne fako tetufaayo bapatisi bavako. Wiigi oba wiivu ne haircut y'abanyankole yo sitayiro kakole. Abaamunyerere, obuviiri obw'oluwewere, fe abamu twagala bali abalina kaweke. Twongere rawundi endala boosi naawe kwata olusege. Lutalo lwa opposition na Nadduli. Walukaga ne Kasawuli Kampala mukadde n'ekibuli. Enjawukana bamala ne baziteeka ku mabbali. Kakira n'ekinyala. Abaganda n'abanyala. Fly Emirates eyogali ya kaliya jawo hali abaana baleete Bombardier. Baseeka abakuba zitalawiya abakristaayo abasamaliya. Abali wano n'abali emitalama wa Maliya. Abasula enjala n'ab'ensaniya nzikiriza mu birooto. Nzikiririza mu ssuubi. Leka mbanjulire.